You're now listening to the Lycaeus Frequency. Well. Welcome to the Lycaeus Frequency. Tonight, a returning guest. One, May. I think it's pretty simple.
Happy to be here, of course.
Of course. Real quick, just say that again, just for me. Definitely not for audio checking at all.
Happy to be here.
Okay, that doesn't look right.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Let's try that. Huh? Give me some. Nope.
Testing.
Okay, it's no.
It's one of those nights again, isn't it?
Maybe. Oh. Bring it here. Closer.
Okay.
Try that, yeah. All right, give me some gas.
Give you some gas.
That is weird. I don't know what's up.
Yikes.
You know what? That's fine. I think maybe you need to just talk a little louder, but I think it'll be fine.
We can help.
We can hope indeed. Tonight we have a very interesting submission. Well, not submission, rather. Well, I guess I could call it a submission. It was there was a large crow with a small slip of paper in its claws that flew into my window. And in its claws there was a URL.
It comes with a link and everything.
Yeah, it came with a link, and I looked in a link. For those of you at home keeping score, it is Hypnagogic Archive.neocities.org.
Run that past me one more time.
Hypnagogic Archive.neocities.org.
Hypnagogic?
Hypnagogic.
Okay.
Yeah, hypnagogic. Hypnagogic sounds correct. Let's go. I'm just going to go ahead and read out the little beginning part, and then we'll go to something I found interesting. Bringing yesterday into today. Here at Hypnagogic Archive, we're dedicated to preserving the weird and the wonderful from years gone by. Are you a fan of Web 1.0, otherwise known as the Old Web? You've come to the right place. Our team of experts scours pages of Web 1.0 material to bring you forgotten gems and hidden treasures, many of which you probably forgot about. Whether you're in for classic blog posts that'll make you roll on the floor laughing, or videos filmed in 2007 on an Lycaeus smartphone, we've got your back. We stock new material regularly from a wide variety of classic sites, so stay tuned. Own something on this site you want to take it down? Have a video made back in the day that you feel belongs here? Something else on your mind? No problem. Email us at hypnagogicarchive@protonmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're dedicated to keeping the past alive by any means necessary.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Anyways, it's very hard to read most of the links here because it's a blue on yellow. Well, it's the text is yellow and the screen is blue, but all links come up blue. So you just have to guess. I've found text files, and then there's a bunch of them. We're gonna start with the first one, I think, as a good palette for what this site may have in store for us. This may be a multiple episode adventure.
Bring it on.
Let's start with alien chain mail. Sorry, chain email.
Specifically email.
Yes. The following is a classic chain email sent to numerous college campuses in 2005. Attention to recipient. My name is Gordon Wimbledon, and I work for a prestigious government space agency. 5 days ago, we caught sight of a mysterious illuminated object lowering itself over Taos, New Mexico. Me and several of my colleagues were in the area to observe the event. In all of my years of professional work, I have never seen anything even remotely similar. The craft was roughly 100 meters in width and constructed from a light yet durable metal. When we approached the craft, we were shocked to discover that it emitted a strange repellent field. Several of my colleagues died days later of radiation poisoning. The beings inside did not make their presence known. For 5 long days, we set up camp and waited. We did not alert our agency for fear of creating widespread panic, and agreed that if nothing came of the event, we would tell no one and go to the grave with our secret. 5 days later, however, the unspeakable happened. The leader of these beings, a 7-foot humanoid with an upper exoskeleton, exited the craft on a long strip of the same metallic substance and approached me. I was helpless as it held me spellbound and put its extremities to my head, after which it initiated a prolonged and painful session of what I can only term as ruthless mind probing. My colleagues tried separating me from the creature, but to no avail. During this time, I believe the creature obtained most human knowledge, in particular, vital space research, leaving us helpless. Upon the conclusion of the link, the leader ran back to its craft and departed. It is my firm belief, and the belief of my peers, that the worst is yet to come. So if you value your safety, please alert as many people as possible. Unless the public is made aware of this crisis, we may have no recourse should the beings return. Sincerely yours, Gordon Wimbledon.
Gordon Wimbledon, huh?
Gordon Wimbledon.
Oh, can't imagine that.
Yeah.
What is the word? The privacy.
Yes.
Just all that being taken from you.
No privacy for you.
That's awful. This was sent to college students?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
2005 was a different time, man.
Indeed it was. Good Lord.
Quite.
Just ew.
7 foot tall exoskeleton. It sounds like a weird Star Trek remake of Encanto.
Oh no.
What's along its back, huh? Spines?
We don't talk about Bruno.
No. We're gonna get killed. We're gonna have ruthless mind probing. Fuck your future. I'm gonna read your now.
Ew. I do not need anybody to know anything that goes inside of my head. That's...
No, the aliens need to know.
No, they do
not. The aliens
that.
want to know. They're listening in. What are your thoughts right now?
Oh, no. They don't... We're not going to share my thoughts right now.
Oh, we're not? Okay. Well, all you alien listeners out there, I'm sorry to disappoint. I sent you a transceiver just to catch this, but that's rough, I guess.
Wow.
I gotta get the viewer count up. Maybe.
Oh my god.
I mean, come on, man. Maybe I'll get a viewer submission from the stars.
Oh, actually, that'd be pretty good.
See?
No, I'm not. No, I'm good.
Well, regardless, if you have a spooky story, whether you be an extraterrestrial or one of you normal people, you terrestrials, go ahead and send in your spooky story, your submission to Lycaeus Frequency at gmail.com. That is LYCAEUS Frequency at gmail.com.
No matter your species, we want to hear it all.
Yeah, we want to hear all your spooky stories. If you're somehow a sentient mouse and you can figure out how to work a computer, send it in. If you're listening to this.
I don't know about you, but I really do believe in like those signs, things that pop up all the time. There's been a lot.
Oh, like the stop sign?
Yeah, sure. We'll take that. You'll take that one.
I mean, I do believe in the traffic gods.
The traffic gods. They're always watching.
They're showing us signs every day.
I've been seeing things, just a lot of things having to do with rats and mice lately.
Huh.
The symbol,
nibbling, gnawing, little creatures.
Anything, all of it.
One of our resident Redwood Voice people has a rat as a pet. I've seen it. It is very sweet.
As a pet? What do what would you even feed that as a pet? Do they eat just like table food?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. There's a specific feeding regimen, but it probably involves lettuce.
Probably involves lettuce.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make sure the rats get all the nutrients, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, because there's those guys. There's the person who has the rat, and then there's my friend who has snakes and has mice so that they can feed the snake. And
oh, yeah.
They have a very interesting practice where they get the mice super stoned before they feed them to the snake. They like rip a bong and then blow all of it into the little enclosure and close it off. So the mice get super stoned.
I wonder what that's like. What is it?
Well, I mean, you just get real calm and then you die.
Best way to go. One of the best.
I mean, probably, yeah. Comparatively to just dropping them in there.
I mean, I guess. But there's no chase in it.
Yeah, they don't. I feel like they. Well, yeah, right. I don't think the. I feel like that's different for mice than it is for us top of the food chain creatures.
We'll never know.
Yeah, no, we probably won't unless we get a live mouse on the show who happens to be sentient.
We need that sentient mouse.
I'll make a note of it. I'll see if I can call my contacts, get a sentient mouse in here, some Stuart Little shit.
Yes, Stuart Little himself.
Oh yeah, get that celebrity in here. He's gonna be demanding things. Like, no,
dear God.
This is the Little Frequency. Fuck you.
The Little Frequency.
Yeah.
I feel like Stuart Little would definitely be a diva.
Yeah. I mean, he's got his own little car.
He's got a better car than I do.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to agree with me.
I mean, that thing doesn't require maintenance. You just turn the key. You just turn the little thing, and they go boom. It doesn't have control rods. Doesn't have oil and your manifolds and all that. Nah, just go turn and go vroom.
I mean, I guess. Are there other text files?
Oh yeah, there are. Let me see how many there are, so that I can space this out into multiple episodes. Oh dear God, that's not a small amount. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3,
give us a little
4,
preview of one.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 different text files.
It's gonna last you a while.
Yeah, you know what? We'll do a second one.
Yes.
All right. This one is called Call and Response, Trial, and Error. Originally posted to the Talk Experience group, November 7th, 1992. Hi. I don't know if this really counts as something worth discussing on here, but I've had some jolts so I can stay up and recount it as best I know how. I've been coming through the group, and I find it amazing how many people have come on here to talk about things with complete strangers. My parents got me a personal computer for my birthday, which was in August, and since then I've been trying to figure it out. It has a lot of functions, and I can also play some games on here. This is my first time posting on a public board, so please excuse me if my grammar's a little bit off. I've been looking for this directory for a week maybe, and I like a lot of the stories, especially the one about the shark attack. I hear sharks won't actually attack you unless you're bleeding, but it was pretty scary anyway. My story isn't as scary, but it is interesting. It's one of those things that happens once in your life. Then you forget it or remember it one day and sit up straight like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. I'm writing it here because I want to remember it someday. I don't think it would be healthy to forget about it. My parents take me to a psychiatrist regularly. He's telling me that if I feel emotional, I should try channeling my frustration into something. So I'm putting it here for you guys to check out. I found out about this thanks to my friend from school. You know him as Ishar. So thank you for that. Anyways, this is the story. Oh, this is a doozy.
Oh,
this is a doozy.
I don't know about that one.
Nah, let's see. We might not even get to the bestiary for this one. This one's long.
Oh, jeez.
Here we go. It was around June this year, and I was at soccer practice. My parents had dropped me off, and they said that they wouldn't be coming back because they had to pick up my little brother Kevin. So I'd be walking home. This was fine. It was nice out, and I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. Not a gated community or anything, but I've read the local magazines, and our crime rates are low. So I planned on playing for about 2 hours and then leaving. About an hour in, though, it started to rain, so we were called off the field and went under the bleachers to wait it out. Coach told us that if it didn't stop in 10 minutes, practice would be over, and most of us were tired enough that we wanted it to be over, so it wasn't that upsetting, all things considered. The rain didn't let up, and we went to the locker rooms to change. And someone loaned me their umbrella. I don't remember who. It was jet black, the kind you bring to funerals. I carried it out and started walking home. It was hard to see because the air was filled with mist, but I was able to make out the street signs as I squinted. Everything was a blur, and the streets were mostly empty. It was only late afternoon, but it was so dark it looked like night. I kept going, and I zipped up my jacket. It felt kind of like I was drowning, and my umbrella was a diving bell. You see them in old books. Sailors use them before submarines. Just a little bit of air in there for the passenger to breathe. But what they didn't know back then is that you can't breathe your own breath forever, because with each cycle of your lungs, it becomes less oxygen and more carbon dioxide. It was like that. Even though I had the umbrella, I was still soaked. There were puddles on every corner because there wasn't very good drainage. We kept walking in the direction I thought home was, but it was hard to tell. At this point, all the houses and streets looked the same, and I was lost. I sat down under an awning and took a candy bar out of my backpack. I decided that it would be smart to wait until the rain stopped. I was sure that if I could see better, I'd be able to tell which way home is. I don't get lost easily. I have a good sense of direction, and I know my neighborhood. It's not even that big a neighborhood. Not even the biggest one in our city. I sat for a while. Thought about passing the time with my Game Boy, but decided it could get ruined in this weather, so I didn't. It seemed like I waited forever there, watching the rain go on and on. The drops were big and fat, and the clouds were full of them. All I could see from where I was the sidewalk and the curb. Everything past that was a gray mess, and the rain went down the gutter in a little river. But finally, the rain gave out. By this point, it was late at night, and the streets were dark. At least I could see the houses now. The clouds rumbled a little more, but soon they evaporated, and the moon came out. I still didn't recognize any of the streets. They had names I wish I could remember. I had never walked in the city very much, so I knew I had turned around somewhere, or maybe I'd walked past my house. I wasn't tired, though, so the night was young. If I hurried, I thought, I could make it back in time for dinner, and my folks wouldn't know anything was up. These houses weren't any I recognized. The porch lights were on, with about half of them. A lot of them were completely dark. Some of them were on hills, located up flights of stairs. This wasn't my neighborhood. In my neighborhood, the houses are all located on the ground, and the elevation is pretty flat. To add to this confusion, the sidewalk was still very wet, and it was reflective, meaning my eyes were bombarded by a light show. Something didn't feel right. The streets kept repeating. So did the houses. Eventually, I knew if I walked far enough, I would reach a main street or a landmark or something. So I just kept going. I knew about suburban sprawl and how, in lots of suburbs, the houses all looked the same. About a year ago, I visited my grandparents who live across the state. They live in one of those suburbs where every house is identical and you can only tell them apart by their addresses. This was different, though. Like in my neighborhood, all the houses looked different. They all had different attributes and features. Some were bigger than others. They all looked fancy. But some had patios and some didn't. Some had garages and some didn't. One had lawn sculptures. One had a fountain in the yard. It was bubbling, but I didn't see anybody around. It was like the street was being generated randomly by a computer algorithm at the horizon. And that these houses were randomized while I walked past them. Some of them didn't make any sense. They were just possibilities stuffed together, like 3 stories mashed together in an ugly way that nobody would buy. The moon didn't move either. Or if it did, I didn't notice. I was getting tired, so I looked around in my backpack for something to eat. I had some corn nuts and half a sandwich. I ate both of those. I had a lot of homework to catch up on, but tonight I wouldn't be able to finish it. I'd have to put it off and go right to sleep with how tired I was. I figured that if nothing was wrong, then I should be on the outskirts of civilization by now. But the houses kept going, and the streets kept going. I made a few turns right and left, now and again, to see if I could find a restaurant or something, but nothing changed. The only cars out were parked, and there was no one in them. I thought about going up to one of the houses and asking if I could use the phone, but when I tried, nobody answered the door. I realized maybe these houses were empty. Maybe the whole world was empty. Maybe I was losing it. I sat for a while on the sidewalk to collect myself. Whatever time it was late, and I felt fatigued. After walking some more, I noticed out of the corner of my eye that someone was following me. I could hear their steps on the concrete. I thought I heard breathing, but I wasn't sure. I could have asked them where I was, but I knew somehow that they were a threat, and they weren't going to help me. They got closer. I turned around, saw who it was, and started running away as fast as I could until my heart caught in my throat and my lungs were going to explode. They were dressed in a dark trench coat and had a hat on. A dark hat. It looked like the kind of man who was on the neighborhood watch signs, and that's always freaked me out from a young age. I couldn't see who it was. It was probably a guy. They were moving slowly, but they were walking towards me all the same, and I couldn't see their face. I remembered then something my friend Kate had told me about a while ago, that when she slept, a man with a hat would stand in a room and watch her. Not do anything or move, really. He should just stand there and watch her aggressively. Sometimes he was accompanied by other characters. I think she meant she was dreaming all this stuff, but can't be sure. It reminded me of that, and I wondered if I was dreaming this person up. There are no alleys on these blocks, so there wasn't anywhere for me to hide. I turned left and right and left and right again, hoping I would throw off this hat man off my trail. But I looked over my shoulder, and he came walking out from the side. He was distant, but he was real. And I didn't want to get closer to find out more. It seemed as if he was playing with me, that he knew he would catch up to me eventually, because I was walking quick and using all my energy up, while he walked slow and leisurely. He knew there was nowhere I could go, because I wasn't close to anywhere. Maybe he was behind this illusion, or whatever it was. The hat man, I'm almost sure it wasn't a woman, was around 6 feet tall, and his movements were smooth. He glided down the sidewalk without revealing what he was hiding under his coat, which was buttoned from his neck to his waist. Around his waist he had on a belt. I didn't see anything else from where I was standing, but he was always about half a block behind me. My throat was dry and irritated. My feet were going as fast as they could, but somehow he always caught up. I decided since there weren't any alleys or ravines I could hide in, my best course of action would probably be to go up to one of the houses and beg to be let in, and if they wouldn't let me in, I would break in and find somewhere to hide. I was sure that if the hat man caught up to me, he would kill me. So I scrambled up the steep hill in front of one of the houses. It was set back from the street. I knocked over a lawn flamingo on the way to the porch, and when I got there, I knocked and yelled. I could hear music playing from inside, so I thought somebody might be inside, and my spirits were lifted a little. The lights were on inside. All I could see was through the shutter. But I thought that if the lights were on, that somebody must have turned them on. The hat man was almost on me by now. He was climbing up the stairs out front, and so I decided to make my move and break the window. I picked up a chair that was on the porch and slammed it in the window, breaking glass everywhere. I climbed in, and I realized the window was open, so the hat man could get in. So I looked around, looking for a room with a lock on it. I saw what had been making the music. A CD player in the corner. Nobody was using it. Something wasn't right about this house. It didn't feel like anybody lived here. Sure, there was furniture and a carpet and lights, but it didn't have anything human about it. It was as though these items had been set here by something cold and emotionless. I ran upstairs and looked around. Again, something about the house was wrong. The rooms were just slightly wrong. You got the feeling in this house that it had been artificially created. I went back downstairs and slid the couch around until it covered the window. The hat man still hadn't come in. Maybe he had given up. I locked the front door and looked for a phone. There was one on the table. I dialed it, but all I heard was a busy signal, and I pressed the buttons, but they did nothing. The phone wasn't connected. I decided my best bet would probably be to barricade myself in the bathroom until either help arrived or the people who owned the house did, if there were any. I stopped by the kitchen to look for food, and the shelves and the cabinets were empty, and the fridge had nothing. When I turned the taps, no water came out. At this point, I heard someone coming into the front room, so I locked the door to the bathroom and hid behind the curtain. Everything was quiet, but I knew the hat man was out there, and he was looking. I sat there for a long time, just breathing and waiting. I kind of zoned out eventually. The walls faded out, and the footsteps faded away, and the light went down. I guess the Hat Man had given up. He wasn't going to bother with me anymore. Maybe this world wasn't his construction. I got sick of sitting there, but I didn't want to go out the door. It was a gradual process. I dissociated from reality, and my head hit the edge of the tub. I stared at the door and hoped I would get out soon. In an hour, I slept. I woke up the next day on the side of the road. Nobody had noticed me there, but there were people around, and the street looked normal enough. It was bright, and I was sure I was late for school, but at this point I didn't care. I was dirty and exhausted, and I wanted to go home and sleep some more. I knew my parents would yell at me. I checked the signs, and I knew where it was. I ran home as fast as I could, and I was incredibly happy when I saw my house. It looked the same as it had when I left it, although by now it felt like an eternity. It was also distant in some way. I ran up the walk and stopped when I noticed my parents were sitting on the porch. My dad was holding a beer in one hand and looking out in the distance. My mother was sitting next to him on the wicker chair, similarly expressionless. When I went up to talk to them, I waved my hand in front of my father's face, but he didn't say anything. My mom asked to go inside, and he said she could. I went inside with her and saw my little brother Kevin crying in front of the TV. He was watching some kind of puppet show. Mom put an arm around him and told him that everything would be okay. She told him that they would do anything for him. He kept crying. He was going like a faucet. My dad came inside and put an arm around both of them. And that's when I realized something was off. I put my hand through the furniture. I was dead. I was a ghost in my own house. I couldn't walk up to the second floor. My legs passed right through the stairs. If our house had a basement, I probably would have fallen into it. I shouted at them, tried consoling them, but they were distraught and crying, and I stood there and watched. I wasn't safe. It hadn't ended. My family was going through trauma and grief, and all I could do was stand by and watch. It was a terrifying moment that still keeps me up at night. No angel came for me, but the Hat Man did. He saw this grief and came toward the house, hiding his face all the while. I tried shutting the door, but that didn't work. My hand went through it. My parents didn't see him, but he saw me, and I saw him. We existed in the same plane. My parents and my house weren't safe. Step by step, he came along, and then, from under the brim of his headpiece, I saw his eyes. Shimmering, flickering things that glinted in the midday light, like a hungry cat's eyes. Then the world snapped back, and I was playing soccer again. No Hat Man, people could see me. I was fine. I wasn't dead. I was alive, and it was the same day, and there was no rain. After the game, I walked home and thought about what I had been through. I think this is what drug trips are like. Out-of-body experiences must be like this. I got home, and I wasn't late. My parents weren't grieving, and my brother Kevin is annoying as ever. I feel like this story isn't worth anything, because ultimately I never learned anything. Nothing in my life changed. I feel like an experience as bad as this should make me feel something, make my decisions over. Maybe I'm a sociopath. Maybe I'll be the Hat Man when I grow up. Maybe I'll become the master of space and time and create realities where I chase my past self through streets I dreamed up. Maybe I'll torture my prey. Or maybe not. Maybe that's all there is to it. I hope you like this story. I probably won't post any more stories. To be honest, my life isn't that interesting, and I don't have any other stories to tell. You
just snapped back to the soccer game as if nothing had
Snap
changed.
back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. Whoop.
Oh my lord. No. I was going to say maybe entered a different plane. I don't know. I've heard about similar stories, similar experiences from other people and such. But I don't know.
If there's a will, there's a way. I will get back.
How strange.
Quite veritably strange. Sounds like the back rooms, almost.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Liminal space.
Yeah.
Liminal spaces are fun, aren't they?
It was really intriguing to me that the storyteller said they didn't really learn anything from it. Nothing came of it. But I think after an experience like that, there must come some more caution in your life or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that. Yeah, that's the reaction, right? But like, there wasn't a learning of it. out of it. It's just being more cautious as a person. I think that's a general, you know.
Was there something to be learned?
I don't know. Don't go out in the rain. Don't walk home in the rain. I don't know. I mean, around here, that's kind of
That's a given.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one to achieve, because sometimes you just gotta walk home in the rain.
That is Crescent City.
Yeah. Watch out for fog.
For fog.
I mean, fog often is a threshold for things.
Watch out for the neighborhood watch.
Yeah, right. Watch out for the neighborhood watch, guys. He's gonna take you to he's gonna take you to the back rooms and do something weird to you.
The whole time, as soon as the Hat Man was introduced to the story, the idea was just Hunter and his prey.
Right. I feel like, well, because when he got close to him, he just snapped back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the Hat Man is a malicious thing in this instance, because the other things I've heard about the Hat Man are not good.
The other things?
The Hat Man is a documented phenomenon.
Is it now?
Yeah, I've seen it.
This is the first I've heard of it.
I've seen it near my house one time, just at the edge of the light. That's a story for another time. How about we have a little musical interlude, shall we? I'm sure my voice is nice and sultry upon your ears, but yeah. But music is always appreciated on the radio. So, let's go ahead and throw something on from a band from another dimension, Seagull Fist.
Seagull Fist.
Well, it's their weird best of album. Let's just say an interested party has compiled a large playlist of songs that represents a fictional band, and so we're gonna flip through there. Let's go ahead and play. Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and play Notion by The Rare Occasions. Here they are after I pressed a bunch of buttons and definitely didn't turn off the mics.
Oh.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. After our brief musical interlude, we have the grimoire open to a page. What page? The page about veiled ones. It's short.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, well, simple. More, they're hard to really get into depth about, because they're kind of a simple concept. The veiled ones are humans trapped between dimensions or attempting to cross back into the earthly plane. They're frightening not for their appearance, but for the horrifying truth that they reveal, that humans may become trapped in an unknown place, unable to go home or receive help. These lost ones are eventually killed by paranormal entities between the planes or by their own hand. They're one of the most active kinds of non-violent paranormal entities. Veiled ones accidentally reach the paranormal plane or are brought to it by paranormal entities or other supernatural beings. It is unknown how one could bring them back, and may be impossible through human means. They inadvertently cause or bring danger wherever they go. So it sounds like our poster slipped through the planes.
Yikes.
And something sent him back. The Hat Man sent him back.
I don't know. I trust the poster's intuition. The maliciousness.
Yeah. Right. It's hard, because on the one hand, he saw its eyes, and then he's back. But on the other hand, it stalked him through the back rooms Suburbs edition.
Suburbs edition, yes.
The Suburbs DLC of the back rooms.
I don't know. How have I not heard about this before? It seems like it should be much more of a common occurrence.
Yeah, well, because I'm looking on Don't Kill Me, the wiki. There's a wiki for this guy.
Oh my god.
Let's see. He does not have a full name. He is known as the Hat Man, the Devil, the Hatter, the Shadow Man, the Barista from 2011. Many names for this guy. And I'm getting some static. Let's see. Oh, wait, no, that's just the speaker in here. All right. Let's see. The origin is in folklore. It's kind of vague, right? But let's see. The Hat Man is a figure in urban legends. He is most commonly linked to sleep paralysis. It's a phenomenon in which witnesses report seeing a shadowy entity dressed in an old top hat on some occasions, and in others, a fedora-type hat, sometimes a cape. The Hat Man acts like a ghost and is almost always seen just standing there. This form can simply fade away until the witnesses see it no more, and has no apparent reaction to people. For example, many people have reported having to run into this entity, which does nothing absolutely for seconds or minutes, and then moves a little and just fades away, as if it could not detect who saw it. This entity is sometimes listed as a ghost by those who study the phenomenon, because it kind of looks like a ghost, with the shadow of a person wearing an old-style hat. But unlike a ghost, which could have visible facial features, the Hat Man is a dark shadow in its entirety, without clear bodily details. It is not always reported that it is harmless. On some occasions, a Hat Man has been spoken of as a distinct entity, and many times witnesses report feeling absolute terror upon seeing him. Many have reported that this entity feeds on its terror and does not fade away. It simply withdraws, walking as any normal person would. The shadow has substance, that is, some who have touched it, and many paranormal investigators believe that this entity should be studied. As a curiosity, this phenomenon is only reported with the Hat Man of the top hat variety.
The top hat variety.
Well, you got the fedora variety, you got the sun hat variety, you got the top hat variety.
All
the
subspecies.
Yeah, your resident local neighborhood hat man might not be a top hat man. He might be a fedora hat man. Or a bowler hat man, you know? It could be anything.
Ooh, bowler hat. I fuck with that.
Yeah, mine was a bowler hat man.
Really?
He was very wide.
If linked to sleep paralysis, I have had an experience with something like this, but there was no hat.
Yeah, see, I saw it when I was awake.
Oh.
We were pulling into my house, edge of the light from the lantern, like, because we have a lantern out front, right? So edge of the light, there's just this dude standing there, and he's wide as fuck. He's like Peter Griffin proportions wide. And he's just got a hat and a trench coat, and I can't see his face, really. And he's just standing there. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I just went inside and didn't think about it for a while. But the image still lurks in my mind.
As it should.
Yeah.
You have to remain cautious.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like this Hat Man might be another kind of veiled one situation. They're both veiled ones. This one's been there long enough. This one's been there long enough to like banish people back home. But he guides you to a treasure he cannot possess. Because he can never go home.
How depressing.
Yeah, man. I mean, after a while, you get used to it, though, I'd think.
You really think so?
Yeah. Immortality. Come on.
Okay, I'm not quite there yet, so...
You will get there someday.
I don't know.
I dare say I think so.
We'll see.
Yeah. Anyways, Hypnagogic Archive, everyone. That's 2 of the 12. It looks like it's going to be a 6-episode stint, starting with this one. So you've got 5 more to tune in to see this thing come to its finale when it comes to text files. Who knows? Maybe we'll get into the videos and the other strange things. Maybe the guest book. They're videos. Of course, I don't know how I'd transmit them over the waves. Just audio. I got to look into that. I'll have to talk to Paul, see what he's got for that here at the station.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work out. It's a very interesting subject, though. Hypnagogic
Archive.
That is such a strange word to me.
For those of you wanting to look into this yourselves and get the spoilers, read the manga, go ahead and you can find it at hypnagogicarchive.neocities.org. Hypnagogic with an A.
With an A?
With an A, hypnagogic.
That word.
Yeah, here, you know what? Let us consult the crystal balls for what the hell that means, shall we?
Oh, the first thing
that comes up is hypnagogic hallucinations.
Yes.
Relating to this state immediately before falling asleep. Hypnagogic.
Ah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, because Hypno, I think, was the god of dreams. or Hypnos was the god of dreams, I think, in Greek mythology.
In some mythology.
And well, I know it's Greek. I just can't remember if it's Hypno or Hypnos, because
yeah,
or it's either sleep or dreams. But I know Hypnos is related, and that's kind of where we get the word.
But in relation to, especially this story that we just read, he was in the middle of a soccer game.
No, it was after the soccer game.
It was after?
Yeah, so basically rain had come down, right? And so this guy's like, oh, well, we're all going to go sit on the bleachers because it's raining and we're not going to play soccer in the rain because they ain't real true Delnar Blue.
Wimps.
We do that shit in the rain. But they went on the bleachers, and then the coach was like, if it's not done in 10 minutes, we'll just call practice there. And then it happened. 10 minutes went by and it didn't stop raining, so they decided to go home, and then everything spiraled out of there. So it was during practice.
Just during practice.
Yeah, and I think the rain was really the onset of like, oh, it's the transition point. The rain was the transition point because he went into the rain. He went into the rain, and the rain, like everything was there. It was kind of confusing, but it was still like semblance of a place. And then he came out of the rain, and it was not. So it's almost like he fell asleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
In a weird way.
But in the rain. I don't know.
I mean, it might be like an elaborate hallucination kind of situation. In the sense of seeing your whole life flash before your eyes. Kind of, or like a Doctor Strange, I see all realities. And only one we win. Kind of thing.
I would really like to know if that original poster has had more experiences.
Sounds like this kid was 12 in 1992, so I don't know. Call us if you're hearing this. Get a hold of us. I'm sure you know how. At lycaeus frequency at gmail.com. There it is. There's a plug. All right. It is currently 11:45 at night. And, well, I suppose let's just throw in another musical interlude to break up the time in between now and when we read our viewer submission.
We got one.
The traffic gods have blessed us. Praise be to the stop sign. Let's see. We had Notion last. Let's play something else. Let's play something interesting.
Give us a little variety.
Yeah, let's variety. Yeah, no, I think we're gonna go back to my favorite section of music. Southern Gothic. Let's go see what we. Yeah, let's go see. Show me what I want to see. Okay, you're not going to?
Not gonna work with you. Not tonight.
No, there it is. I got it. All right. Let's play some Hosier.
Yes.
All right.
Down for that, man.
Here comes Work Song by Hosier. Welcome back. After our Hosier break, we are going to go ahead and listen in to we're going to read our viewer submission from one Kairos Death. Thank you for this childhood story. Back when I was camping with my father, being around 6 or 7 years old, I constantly bothered him with having me join him on a hunt in the woods, away from the open clearing we called our family camp. He was hesitant because of what he was trying to find. There had been an unknown predator coming in the early hours of the morning, silently taking full-grown white-tailed bucks out of our grounds trees. He spent many all-nighters watching from the shadows in the tree lines to spot what it was, but with every catch he'd put up, would disappear suddenly with the rapid dying of the campfire, just for it to revive itself, the catch gone from the high branches, with only the ropes cut in its empty place. After a week, he complied with the exception of, "Don't stray away from me. Do not make a sound." I understood and followed him excitedly as the sun was falling to the tops of the trees in the distant mountains. Our camp in question is off a gravel road from the canyons between two small cities, residing on local native land. But this road is long and winding, ups and downs past an official commercial campsite. Most don't know this, but many unknowing campers have wandered down the mountainside to our site, only to be met with my father, towering over them with a hunting rifle, and several other friends and family standing at distance. But back to that time years ago, As the sun fell past the trees and the mountains, I gripped my pistol tightly and kept it near me as we moved silently through the brush. After around 30 minutes from the light dimming further, my leg had gotten stuck in a thorn bush. It had felt like it wrapped itself around my leg with a vice grip, and any move I made to remove it with just my leg or my hands, it felt tighter. I called out in a whisper, "Dad, I'm stuck. Wait a sec." He didn't respond to me and kept moving. "Wait, I need help," I cried out in a small whisper. By the time I looked down to try and remove it and then back up to where he was, he had vanished. Failure 1. I left my knife at camp. I continued to struggle and began to panic. I was alone with nothing but my pistol. Failure 2. I kept panicking and began to become scared of everything around me. I stepped back from where we had traversed before, and the thorns let go without issue. I stopped them down as quietly as possible and moved to where my father was before. He was gone. No soft sounds of his coat being brushed by the foliage. I knew only 2 options. Go forward with the chance of finding him, but become lost if unsuccessful. Or retrace my steps back to camp and put myself back into the open near dark out. My father's teaching gave me option 2 as the only real safer route and not to blow his cover. As I moved back, I found the main gravel road and quietly walked, my pistol in my right hand, gripping it tightly as I turned its safe mode off. I walked several yards before hearing twigs snap from the tree lines. All natural sounds of birds settling, crickets and frogs go silent. I could hear my heart and my breath in my head as I stood still and looked to the sound out of reaction. What stared me back sent me running for my life. In the dark, 2 bright blue eyes stared back at me, covered in a cougar's pelt from higher than my father's 6'2" height. I couldn't scream. Flight took over me as I ran. All I could hear was demonic whispers and growls, accompanied with 2 other feet tailing behind me. I couldn't feel my legs at that point. I kept running over the creek, through the woods to our grounds. I hid directly into my father's tent and under the blankets. I couldn't hear anything after that. I panicked, and I hid there for I don't know how long it was. Dark. There was no fire, no one at camp, from doing errands in the city for food that night and the next day. I can only imagine it was hours later I heard a rifle shot ring through the air a few miles away. An hour later, my father came back silently and searched the grounds and tents for me. When I saw him, I ran out and hugged him in a panic. He was terrified that I had been lost out there. He recalled that I was always close to him. He could hear me move and breathe, but after he took his shot, he looked back and saw I wasn't anywhere nearby. He called to me quietly for 15 to 20 minutes, retracing his steps. Being unable to find me, he grabbed the kill and came back as fast as he could. After us calming down, he started the fire and called his campmates, furious they were still out. While he went off on them, I saw he brought back a fawn. Confused why he'd done it, so I went to inspect it. Its eyes, those damn same eyes, blue and on the front of the face, not on the side like a regular whitetail. I ran back to my father and started crying in panic. He tried to calm me, to get a sentence out of me. I was too traumatized and scared to speak. But he understood because of where I ran from. It's not a deer. I know. It's something unnatural to this world. He picked me up and held me by the fire until I calmed down and his friends finally came back. He informed them that he got one of them. They chatted and conversed on what to do next, so they strung it up in the same place as the others and made dinner and waited. Later that night, we all started settling down while playing it with a toy of mine. We all heard it. An inhuman, an animal shrieking cry far in the woods near where I heard the shot before. An intense wind blew through the trees, audible snapping from the intensity in the branches, and put our fire right out. We all ran to our tents and waited silently. Eventually, we all fell asleep, and the silence fading was enough to tell us it was over. The next morning, we repaired the damage from the fallen branches and got to work for the next day. My father looked to the tree and smirked. I followed my gaze and saw it too. The fawn was still there, quickly decaying, but it still hung in the tree. My father took it down and carried it back to the area he'd killed it and buried it that day. And ever since, we'd only see and hear things from a distance, but never did prey be taken again. To this day, I never told them what happened to me. The scar of the thorns still present on my calf, but only a reminder to follow the rules my father kept in place.
Ah.
Well, thank you, Kairos Deeth. Good Jesus Christ.
How intriguing.
How quite intriguing, especially given the area we're in. I can only wonder where that occurred.
Tell your father I'd like to go hunting with him next time.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. That's a good joke you got there. I wouldn't fuck with that with a 20-foot pole, let alone a rifle.
What do you know with you and your mortality? I'll be fine.
That's an assumption.
Well, pretty damn good one.
I've been living this long. I made it this far for a reason, didn't I?
You've got luck out there. The traffic got a smile upon you.
And caution.
And caution, I guess.
I didn't even have to read that thing about the backroom suburb edition to get caution in my life. This is just more evidence for caution.
Yeah, I guess so. No, the blue eyes. Typically, in a lot of folklore cryptids, it's red.
Yeah.
I always find blue eyes to be more striking.
Well, they're certainly more frightening to see glowing in the woods. Like red, sure, that's primarily deeply terrifying, but blue? That's different. That's a different thing. I don't know what to think about that. It's like green eyes, too. Green eyes are weird. Green eyes are very common, actually, especially because of how light refracts off of animals' eyes.
I mean, I guess so, but...
Red and green are natural. Blue is not.
Blue is not, no.
Or at least very much less common. It does occur occasionally if you're looking at it in the right direction light. I've seen it on, like, dogs. If the light,
dogs?
Yeah, if you're pointing a light in the right direction, you can see, like, a sky blue.
That's not normal.
It was my aunt's dog. It was this little Chihuahua. Chihuahua bit my damn sister. So that one was weird. And then there was Rosie, who was a fat little, like, Dachshund Chihuahua mix.
This is why we go with cats.
Yeah, cats. Cats also have blue if you do it right. It's really in the light direction, because if you point it right at them, it's gonna come off as green. But if you point it like from the side, it comes off as kind of a weird sky blue green, like a really light sea foam.
I don't know. I'd really like to see whatever it was that...
You know, there's a deeply curious part of me that would also like to see that, and then there's a part of me that knows I don't need to know. I don't. I've cut up in enough animals. I think I can understand what that would look like. Anyways, it's come to the end of our show tonight. Thank you all for listening. I do deeply appreciate your patronage. However, we got to call it. It's midnight, baby.
Ooh. Yeah, it is time.
Yeah, it is time to feed. Oh, there we go. I pressed the buttons too early. Good night, all. See you next week.
listening to KFUG LP Crescent City, broadcasting to the masses at 101.1 FM or broadcasting to the NSA online at kfugradio.org.
When you're in a small